Well, here we are. It's Monday. I don't know about you, but Monday is always a special day for me because I looked at the words, and the word mon, M-O-N, has a number of meanings, but one of them is, in some dialects, mine. And I always think of Monday as my day to plan for the week, look at my strengths, what I'm going to do with my to-do list, and accomplish my goals. So today, one of our goals is to very simply help you realize that in wealth building, it's not just making money, it's making sure you make money. And making sure you make money for your efforts in real estate is pretty simple. You have to close. If you can't close, you probably aren't doing too well. And before you can close in most sales situations with buyers or sellers, or in your negotiations, you've got to remember that there's going to be things that people object to. We call that objections. Now remember, these are not rejections. These are objections. Too many people take these personally in the real estate business. So today we'd like to do a couple of things. One is to make you more confident, competent, and natural to become a master closer. We're going to try to knock their socks off today. I'm going to give you some tips and techniques, some 6 closes that make sense. And here's why closing is so important and handling objections is so important. Most sales end up on the average after more than 4 closing attempts. So I think it's safe to always talk about 3, which we will today, but also to realize there's more to objection handling than just answering a question, because it should be setting them up for a trial close. For some of you, you will be overwhelmed. Holy cow, so much stuff I haven't been doing. Some of you will be underwhelmed because I'm reminding you of the things you do well or were doing well you need to reflect on and do again. With that said, very simply, I'm going to sock it to you today with some key components on making objections become something you look forward to, not something you dread. Very quickly, I use a affirmation every day. One is consistent always. One is an additional one. I just wanted to throw it to you. It's at the bottom of my quick Vita there. It's in red. I always feel, say, and try to accomplish this mindset. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until I can do as good as my better best. I'm not perfect. It's not best. There's always room for improvement. I always want to grow. In this business, education is from womb to tomb. You are somewhere in between those two. My job is to give you a little bit of information, ideas, and tracks to make things happen so you build a better business and obviously build your wealth. Quickly, the 20-20 rule. Any seminar you watch on Zoom, any time you spend on the computer, from the University of Texas, take a break for 20 seconds, look at something 20 feet away every 20 minutes. That takes care of a lot of the problems people are having with their eyes and their pupils because of concentrating on the screen too much. So this is not a master closer seminar, but it's pretty darn close, because with objections should come closing. You solve objections, much easier to close. You don't solve objections, almost impossible to close. And we're looking to make things possible, not impossible. So we look at things today. A stall. What is a stall? Sometimes it's called a hesitation. I think you know what an objection is, but let's talk more about what specific kinds of objections are probably going to come up and when are the best time to handle objections. Then we have to look at conditions. Conditions are things you probably almost always will never be able to handle. You have to accept them, work around them, and bring more positives to the table. There's the negotiations. The conditions are things you cannot control very easily. And as you well know, by being with me for more than once, I firmly believe you spell success in real estate sales, C-O-N-T-R-O-L. I need to control the conditions as best I can and adapt to them. Then above all, we have to have the knowledge of how to handle the stall, the objection, and the condition. Last week, I gave you a near formula for success. The first part had to do with developing confidence, and it was self-esteem plus knowledge. I'm sure everybody here today has a pretty good high self-esteem mindset. You know you're good, and you want people to know you're good. But do you have enough knowledge? Do you know that you know that you know how to handle that particular objection? And if you handle stalls, if you can create ways to overcome objections, if you can adapt to conditions and have the knowledge to do that, then you get those sales. And that simply looks to me like S.O.C.K.S, socks. It's not a Spanish phrase, it's socks. Let's knock their socks off by looking at some key components today in this system of closing. We're going to overcome hesitations, try to handle various kinds of rejections, and look at some underlying conditions that might prevent somebody from making that magic, yes, I'm ready to buy, or yes, I'm ready to sell, or yes, I'm ready to list. Nothing unique here, but just realize, let's put things in perspective. The hesitation, or as it's sometimes called, the stall, is how a client hides the real reason they can't make a decision. I want to think it over. We need to sleep on it. I'm not sure. They haven't given you a specific reason. You have to probe. You have to probe like a pro. See, the word probe starts with a P-R-O. Not moving forward with the way you ask questions that get progressively gutsier, but being a pro and knowing how to handle that hesitation or that stall. And obviously, the best way to handle a hesitation or a stall is use probing questions. Open-ended questions that give information, that give lots of information to help you make a better decision for them because you have the knowledge of knowing what to do. So if I was going to summarize all these words on this screen, I would say a stall or hesitation is something a potential buyer or seller do to hide the real reason they don't feel they can make a decision right now. And the key word in my little shortened phrase is the word feel. They're hiding the real reason they don't feel they can make a decision. They are not ready to share that with you. They're hiding it. They're holding back. We hear the phrase, buyers are liars. Many times they are hiding the real reason of what they really want. And you all have that experience if you had a buyer. So with that said, we have to realize we got to get through their feelings. And remember, the feeling brain is much more powerful than the thinking brain. That right side of your brain is much more powerful than the left side of your brain. People buy on emotion and justify on logic. A good closer, a good person who handles objections, knows how to work with feelings. That's a whole another couple of hours in a future session. So they're hiding their real feelings. You've got to probe to find out what their real feelings are. And then that becomes something you can handle that we are going to call an objection. It's the real reason why they can't make a decision. We'll talk about the what is it system. We'll talk about many other ways in which you can pull that out by that probe. See, professionals probe. Look at your probing techniques. Are they professional? Are they logical? Are they attainable? Are they ways in which you are moving to learn more so you can help people make a better decision? Remember, I think it was last week, we put the word tip up as one of the 10 commandments of wealth building. Time, information, and patience. Probing is best done when you have enough time to ask a lot of questions to find out the real reason why they can't make a decision. Information that you gather by probing helps you make a better decision, because the more information a person has, the better decision they can make. And that's where control comes in. If you can't probe and can't find the objection, then they know more about the situation than you do, and they're hiding it. You need to be in a position where you know more about what they really need and want than they do sometimes, because sometimes you have to help them. They need that nudge. They need that nudge. And so with hesitations or stalls, most people don't handle them properly and they try to solve them. I cannot solve a hesitation or a stall. They're hiding their real feelings. I've got to turn it into an objection. So we're going to discuss with you specific objection handling techniques to handle almost every client objection you'll be faced with in this industry. Now, we're not going to be complete. In fact, this is probably going to be a 2-part series, maybe a 3-part series. I'm not sure yet. So you are on the cusp of starting this process of knocking their socks off. But the first step is to realize you cannot handle a stall or a stand. Don't get hung up on it. Agree with them. There's actually a process which we'll be sharing a little bit today and later in some of my future World of Wealth seminars related to this, because this is so critical in my mind to be able to make every effort you spend with a client moving forward to getting them to buy or sell so you can achieve your goal. Remember, my mentor, Zig Ziglar, said it very simply. You can have anything in life that you want as long as you keep enough other people getting what they want. If they find the house they want to buy or they get the price and terms for the house they want to sell, you get what you want. And the key thing is in the shortest amount of time with least amount of inconvenience. That's nothing new. So let's move forward on this and start working on the mindset of handling objections, not trying to handle stalls or hesitations, and realize we're not going to be able to probably handle conditions other than accept them and work with them, because that usually requires somebody else's approval. Very simply, if you make a listing presentation, listing counseling session, whatever you want to call it, or a buyer counseling session or a buyer presentation, and both parties aren't there, then there's a condition you probably can't handle that day. They can't list with you till they talk it over with the other side. They can't buy with you until they talk it over with the other side. Those are conditions. They're not hesitations. They're not an objection. It means certain things have to be done before they can make a decision. If their uncle, their grandfather, the parents are giving them the down payment, they may have to see the house. They're not going to hand out the money if they don't see the house. How is that handled? Some conditions that people have when they get pre-qualified, pre-approved, or approved. They've got some things in their past that still hurt their numbers. A condition right now is no longer 3% interest rates, 5.5 to 6. That's a condition. We have to work around that. There's loads of ways people have learned to do that. There's loads of ways that people have lost sales and lost clients because they can't do that. But we can't solve the fact that the Fed is continually raising interest rates, because once again, it looks from what they said a few days ago, we got 3 more of them. We hope they're not big, but it looks like, and I've mentioned this months ago, 3 more raises before the end of the year. I just never expected those 3/4 point raises twice in a row, and I sure hope that we don't have it 3 times in a row at the next Fed meeting in September. We got a couple of weeks to hear the chatter of how people feel, and maybe the economy makes some adjustments that will convince the Fed we don't need to have 75 basis points as a condition that we now can't control even further. The only way to handle a condition is sometimes schedule another appointment, something else has to be confirmed, some way to clear up the problem. Bring that person into the house that's going to be putting the down payment. Somewhere, somehow, some way, you've got to do something because you kind of lost control. If it's a condition and not an objection, you've lost control. And you spell success, C-O-N-T-R-O-L. So we just looked at the foundation of the differences between a stall or a stand or a hesitation, whatever you want to call it, and an objection and a condition. So now I feel if you've got those in your head, maybe you took some notes, you're ready to move forward on this and realize that our business is changing. Obviously, this is not as funny as it sounds anymore, because you know what's happened in the last 8 months from the 3% to where we are today. And we see prices rising in markets, a lot of data, still shortage of houses, Another whole set of seminars, but the bottom line is we have some issues that we can't control. So let's take the concept of the hesitation or the stall and put it into some type of a model. And at the Real Estate Negotiation Institute, where I have the privilege of teaching the #1 negotiation training program in North America with 80,000 graduates, we focus on the SAM model, the stand or the hesitation. And as I always say, don't get hung up on their stand. Listen to them, agree with them, let them talk. Everybody has a stand in all aspects of your life, not just in buying and selling real estate. You've got political stands, religious stands, food stands, health stands. Everybody has a different way of doing things. Somebody says this, somebody says that. Don't drink coffee, drink coffee. Don't run, do run. Don't lift weights, do lift weights. Don't buy this, don't buy that. Don't buy electric, stay with gas cars. We have all kinds of stands. Don't get hung up on a stand. Cushion it. Agree with them. But then question it. Question it. Find out their area of concern. And you do that by probing with those open-ended questions. Who did you? What did you? Where did you? When did you? Why did you? How did you? Which did you? That gets information. I need to find out their information in terms of what they're interested in, their likes, their wants. There's a lot to be said about finding interests to make connections. It's all a series of questions. You should have hundreds of questions for buyers and hundreds of questions for sellers so you can help you find objections before they become objections. See, the best way to solve an objection is before it becomes one. Right now, interest rates are an objection. Can you help solve that before it becomes a problem after they found the house they like? Let them know some of the issues up front. We called it weeks ago in one of my seminars, an expectation session. This is powerful. If you haven't been there, I'll remind me to bring it up in a future session again. Most agents do not create expectation sessions. They don't take people on a safe island. They don't listen. And so they never find out the areas of concern. Because the stand causes a lot of people to give up or go the wrong way. So again, objection handling is not easy, is not simple, and does not work all of the time. But some of the techniques we talk about today and the next week and the week after, it will work most of the time. Everything we say works most of the time. None of it works all the time. And every client is different. Every way they look at homes is different. Sometimes the second or third time they see the same home, they see something different. Are you listening to what they're saying that second or third showing, if there is? But then the key of helping you get through the hesitation or the stall or the stand is to realize what are their emotional drivers. What was the cause for their stand? Why did they say that way at the beginning? And were you able to build some trust? As you all know, I recommend strongly Stephen M.A.R. Covey's book, The Speed of Trust. A great way to help you build respect and trust, because that's an emotional side of the right brain. And we could talk all day about emotional drivers. All you have to remember as we move forward today is people buy on emotion and justify on logic. That's the secret. People buy on emotion and justify on logic. And the stand is emotional. You just can't solve it because they're hiding their real feelings. So you have to probe to find their areas of concern with the who did you, what did you, where did you, when did you, why did you, how did you questions. And then once you get that down, then you can start looking for their causes and how they could be satisfied in that property that they're buying or in the price they eventually sell for. Those are the motivators. So how can you move them from emotions to rational in the final decision? Because they have to feel good, both sides. That's what we talk about collaborative negotiating. It's a win-win philosophy. Anytime you handle objections as a win-lose, it becomes not nearly as powerful. How can I take a concern, a valid concern, find out the motivators, and make it a win-win for both sides? Now we've got something that's collaborative and not competitive. And I firmly believe in the long run, real estate agents who handle objections are collaborative, not competitive. Now, objections are just unanswered questions. So we're back to providing information, providing education. As I said a few minutes ago, the best way to handle an objection is before it becomes one. And we're back to my open-ended questions to draw out their motivations and concerns. See, that SAM model is like an iceberg. The stand is very small, but it's still there. You see the stand. Don't get hung up on the stand. The Titanic didn't sink because it saw the stand. It didn't see what was below the water. So you will not win if you just look at the stand. It's all the stuff below that causes the problem, and you not closing, and you not getting the job done, and you wasting a lot of time, energy, and money, and nothing happens. So obviously, once you're armed with a lot of information, but you need time to get that, I know more about you than you know about me. I'm in control. Once you get to open-ended communication, like and trust, I mean, take a moment. Forget real estate. Look at your personal relationships. When you first met the person you've been with the longest in your life, a friend, a partner, could be a marriage, it doesn't make a difference. How, I guess I would say, afraid were you, or how many things did you not say at the beginning? Just not ready to tell them all that stuff. But as you move them longer and longer, you get more trusting, you feel more at ease, and you tell them more. And pretty soon, that special person, that friend, that partner, that spouse knows so much more about you than they ever knew the first day they met you. So obviously, if you realize the sooner you can handle all the objections, and believe me, if you went back and looked at your last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 sales, the more the better, you would realize there's some very common objections. Some of the same objections happen all the time. Could be the schools, could be the traffic, could be the layout, could be this, could be that, could be the financing. If you can start looking at, maybe brainstorm with some other people on how do we handle those kind of objections. What's the most common objection that 3 or 4 of your friends in real estate have? Can you guys work on that together over coffee, or stop for a quick lunch, or just sit and chat in a cool place or wherever you want to be? Because you need to realize you need to have answers for all their questions. So why not avoid a lot of the questions by solving them before they become a problem? And then the other thing about control is, if you're not careful and don't have a good plan of how you're going to present, they can easily throw you off track by interrupting you with an objection and you jump and answer it. Sometimes objections are best left until the end. You simply say, hey, listen, that's a good point. I'm going to write that down. When I finish all this, we'll go through this, I guarantee you. Or you just avoid it. Sometimes objections solve themselves if you wait long enough. I train for a lot of corporate clients that are not real estate. We always suggest them, if they had an objection when they called in, to jot it down and send us an email or a note. Because by the time they have to put it in writing, sometimes it's not as big of a deal as it was. They get too emotional when they're talking verbally about something they don't like. It's much harder to put it down that same way. It's not that bad. I'm not saying it works all the time. Remember, nothing I say works all of the time. Everything I say works some of the time. You got to find that fine line. But can you see, you need to customize, tailor, or control the presentation to speak to their specific needs. And what they have is specific. They want it to be obtainable, and they really want it, but they sometimes don't know how to say it at the beginning, so it's a stall or a hesitation or whatever else you want to call it. So the first objection is rarely the real objection. That's the stall. They don't want to tell you the real reason why they're not going to make a decision. It takes patience. And here we are, just last week. Hopefully you were with me. Hopefully you'll remember it today in the shortened version. I used the word TIP, time, information, and patience. Time on your side, there's more information. More information will allow you to be more patient. But remember this, in Wayne's World, the Wealth Whisperer always says, patience without persistence leads to paralysis. Some deals just die a slow death. Some people you were going to call on to see if they would list. You didn't call. Pretty soon, they listed with somebody else. I've always had a struggle in my personal real estate listing mindset as to when to contact the family of a deceased person. How soon should I contact them about selling that estate or marketing that home that their parents or relatives or person they're in charge of did? And sometimes I did it right, and sometimes I waited too long, too patient, and guess what? There's a sign in the yard. I just lost a recruit for our real estate partnership because I waited too long to talk to her about changing. My fault. Can't blame her. Open-ended questions are the detective work. You've got to use those to get the real reason why they don't want to make a decision. Not their feelings. Not their feelings. Now, don't become your worst enemy. Some of you talk too much, say too much, do things that cause you to have to solve more problems or objections. And that's where the rejection comes in your mind because you screwed up. If you would have just shut up, you wouldn't have screwed up. Don't create new objections in their mind. Be careful of what you say. They might not have thought of something. And pretty soon now you've almost erased all the effort you did to move them this way and they just fell backwards. They were here, boom. Now they're back to here. Don't create new objections. Remember, you are born with 2 ears, 1 mouth. I think that's a message, everyone. I should be talking twice as much as I am listening. And here's a simple concept. I say this several times. The most powerful thing you need to do every day, starting on Monday, is whether you're a buyer agent or a seller agent or half and half or whatever, it doesn't make a difference. Your job is to get face to face, eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly, face to face with somebody who can sign something. All the other things you do will not build wealth. In fact, they probably cost you money. So you're losing money, which one of my 10 commandments last week was don't lose money. Whether you're showing too many homes or taking an overpriced listing, whatever it is, you are losing money. The goal of every agent in my business planning, and boy, October is not that far away, so the 2020 business planning is starting to evolve, is to never, ever, ever do anything that could be a waste of your money. Don't lose money. Your gross should be your net. The closer your gross income from a buyer client or a seller client is to your net, the faster, the better, and the more happy everybody is. That's a win-win-win. Buyer wins, seller wins, you win. And you know, in this market today, some people were selling homes in hours after they were listed. Days. I mean, some people were getting 2-3 days was a long time in some of their market areas. We had multiple offers. So we know the power. But remember, don't create new objections. There's enough to worry about with the older objections. As you look at that, realize, as I said earlier, deal with objections only when necessary. See, many of you try to stop your presentation and answer their question because you're kind and you're nice and you feel it's important. You need to learn a dialogue, a method, a way to postpone those objections unless they are so critical. Because regardless of what you say, it won't change the circumstances. So why do you want to lose the momentum in your process? Remember, the simplest of sales skills is attention, interest, desire, conviction, and action. Now, if any one of those is blown away because somebody interrupted you, you know what happens when you're at a home of some seller and all of a sudden the phone rings or the kids come in the room or something happens. Oh, excuse me, I got to take care of that. Wow, it just drains all the energy you've built up. And you got to come back and start over. You've lost the momentum, as we say in sports. And boy, momentum is powerful as a real estate agent. I want to build momentum with my buyer clients, my seller clients. There's your example. If some clients are upset over closing costs, there's nothing you can do to change that. You should have showed them their possible buyer or seller expenses way before they even thought about that. To know there's going to be prepaid taxes for sellers, to know there's going to be surveys and inspections for the buyers, to know there's going to be points maybe on the loan, to know there's going to be this, that, these, or those. Sometimes cities impose a lot of charges, transfer taxes. Some cities, at least in Illinois, charge more transfer taxes than the state and the county do to buy a home. I don't know what your state is or what your area is, but we got some cities that have huge revenue streams coming in from buyers paying for city or municipal taxes. Or sometimes the seller picks all three up, the state, the county, and the local. That can put a deep dent in somebody's net. Accept some concerns as outside of your control, but the more you can solve ahead of time as part of your buyer counseling session and your seller counseling section, there'll be less objections and surely less rejection because they were aware of what's going to happen. I call that the safe island. Every presentation to a buyer or a seller needs to end with them on a safe island before you begin talking about what you're there for. You have steps to do. In the listing presentation, in the seller counseling session, it's very simple to me. I ring the bell, I smile, I pay him a compliment, I take him to the kitchen table, I break the ice, and then I take him on the safe island, and then I can begin presenting what I feel they need to do and why they should select me. Deal with objections only when necessary. So, again, objections may not be objections if you do these two things. If you very simply don't create new objections and deal with objections only when necessary. That's good advice. At least that's why I'm here. Hopefully, advice you will use. Now, there's a lot of ways to say a lot of things. You call them dialogues, you call them scripts, you call them something. Everybody has a different way of saying things. But as I said today, every dialogue I know, every way I say something doesn't work all the time. So you need to know at least 3 good dialogues for any objections. I said something way at the beginning. Most people buy on the average after 4, but I know something I learned from my mentor. If you always close no more than 3 times, and always close no less than 3 times, which means you close 3 times, you will get what you want most of the time without pushing people beyond repair. I'm not against you closing 4, 5, 6, 7 times. That's fine. The problem is after 3, you might push some people beyond repair. And I don't think that helps. So your goal should be at least to know 3 powerful closings. I said earlier today, this is not a master closing seminar. That's for a future time frame. But I will tell you right now, the reason I say it's not a master closing seminar, because in that program, I help you with 6 most basic closes So at least you've got some to pick from. I am convinced when you probe with agents, if I role play with agents in my seminars, many of them don't know more than 1 or 2 closes. Rarely do I see 3. Well, obviously, if it takes 3 to close on the average, or 4, and you only know 1, you're just repeating the same thing. That's not helping. Repetition may be the mother of learning, but it's not the way to make a sale. But there's magic in 3s. There is magic in 3s. So it's not always what you say, but how you say it. So the first words out of my mouth after welcoming you today was, I wanted you to become confident, competent, and compliant. See, your confidence shows. How you say something shows. Your voice and face inflection, your use of visuals can be a different way of saying something. A picture's worth 1,000 words, but 1,000 words are worth a picture. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You've got to become confident. And again, competence and confidence help me believe you'll be better at how you say something. See, one of the first things we do when we're supposed to handle objections is to agree with them. Now, some people just say, yeah, I understand. That's their way of agreeing. Somebody else says, I can appreciate how you feel. Somebody else says, I know what you're feeling. See, some of those sound more natural. Competent, confident, and natural is how you say things. The weak agents are missing some of those or all of those 3. They're not competent, they're not confident, and they're not natural. They're reading things. They're trying to use somebody else's words. You can't say my words, I can't say your words. It shows up so obviously. If you saw a tape of how that was done, no wonder they said no. Well, that was really bad. Eye contact. When you're talking to them, are you looking at them? And if it bothers you to look at people a lot when you're talking to them, because your eye contact kind of gets you kind of weird, just look at a point right above in the middle of the forehead. Pretend there's a dot there. And then realize if I look at that, the people cannot tell I'm not looking at their eyes. Also, if you're handling objections, right above that dot are 4 letters, MMFI. As part of you handling objections, you have to make them feel important. That's a great question. I can appreciate that one. I know how you feel if you felt that way. Whatever you want to do, but make sure you're not more hung up on what you're saying, but how you're saying it. Voice and face inflection. Using their name without sounding phony. A visual can help too. But the key is asking questions. It's kind of like the diamond of handling objections. 4 points. So again, say something as opposed to nothing. Don't say, don't draw blank. Don't be thinking about things. Don't have a huge pregnant pause because you don't know what to say. That's why the key is to practice, drill, and rehearse various closing strategies so you have something to come back with. It's kind of like how the top comedians know how to handle hecklers in a crowd. They look forward to a heckler because they got something to say to them. Are you competent, confident, and compliant? There's my persistence, my friends. You got to get past the no. Some people actually say, and there are some seminars that were marketed as the sale begins when the customer says no. Anybody can sell when they say yes. And believe me, my friends, we are on that cusp right now. Almost anybody could sell a house in the last year and a half. Multiple offers. You were just showing things and writing things up. We are now coming into the era where only the strong will survive. The persistence, the patience will not cause paralysis. So again, there weren't many no's. Selling doesn't start until you hear the word no in many people's minds. And that's why we think of people that don't do much beyond that are order takers. Again, I walked out of a restaurant this weekend because nobody came to our table. Nobody welcomed us when we came in. And then they said we had to wait 10 minutes to clean tables, yet half the restaurant was empty. Now, a person in this business, a professional realtor, a person who focuses on results, knows that no does not mean no. Many people hear the word no and they feel, uh-oh, it's over. No is just one more person or one more way closer to yes. See, you got to be a ninja in a blazer if you wear a blazer, or if you're dressed business casual, whatever it is. The point is, we have to realize the fact that no, by its nature, is not a two-letter word. It's not no, 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 no. But we do know, K-N-O-W, that if you get a no, N-O, 3 times, you better have 3 closes. That's an objection. If you want to go beyond 3, that's your choice. But again, in Wayne's world, I firmly believe you close no more than 3 times, close no less than 3 times, always close 3 times. You get what you want most of the time without pushing people beyond repair. When I hear a no, my first thought is I screwed up. I didn't give them enough information. I didn't build enough confidence in me. They don't trust me enough to say yes. And that's true in relationships, in life, in any way you look at it. So how do you get past no? Remember, society is skeptical today in a way that people say no 3 times before they make a purchase. There's magic in 3s. I looked at some statistics, and I haven't updated them for about a year and a half, so I'm not so sure if they're actually the same, but either way, the numbers speak for themselves. Nearly half the salespeople that were surveyed gave up after the first no. And how many of you going after a for sale by owner give up after the first call? You call a second time, you call a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. How persistent are you in calling that FSBO? And if an expired is on the market for a long time, did you make just 1 call and they said, I'm ready to list? Or did you make 2 calls or 3 calls or stay in touch? Because there's where a lot of agents lose on that process. They called once, maybe they called twice, then they quit, and a week later it's on the market. Your choice. See, very few salespeople give up after the 3rd no. 12%. And after the 4th no, it gets higher, and that's where I get scared, because the statistics do show that you can push people beyond repair. But J. Douglas Edwards, who was, I would call the guru or godfather of closing, said some top people in all sales averaged 7 closes. But the key is, what the numbers are is immaterial. The numbers have changed from 47 to 44 or 52. I don't really care. The point is, salespeople fail by giving up too soon. And all I'm suggesting is use the 3s. If you're doing 3, then if you want to be gambling and go after, because you really want that client, you really want that listing, then go after 4 or 5. But again, if you can get into the top 6 of agents by patient persistence and not giving up, you'll get past no more and more times. See, people want to buy you and your services. They just don't want to be sold. They need to see the benefits. As soon as the benefits exceed the cost, that's why some people can command higher brokerage fees. That's why some people can command more retainers in real estate. You know, we've got a lot of agents who are scared to death to ask for a retainer. In my 2-day negotiation designation, we help people understand how to best ask for a retainer as a listing agent. Commercial people have been doing it for years. Just talk to a commercial group. Mention the fact of a retainer up front for their efforts before they start. Credited if they list with those people. They value their services. So again, consumers want to buy and use your services and your expertise. You just can't sell them. It's that subliminal seduction by showing them some facts, by joining forces with them, by, I guess you'd say, building a relationship, likes like likes. People buy from people they like and trust. How soon can you be liked? How soon can you be trusted? Again, take a moment, read The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey. That is critical to help you get past no. Very critical to help you get past no. There's magic in threes. Always has been, always will be. So, I hope from today, if you haven't been doing it already, when you hear the word no, they're saying K-N-O-W. I don't know enough from what you told me to list with you, to sign a buyer agreement from you, to move forward with you. You didn't tell them enough for them to say yes. You know, selling's a lot like dating. If they say no, it's not that they're rejecting you. They don't know enough to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's get together. You got to find a way to satisfy whatever their emotional motives are of being with you. Selling is a lot like dating. I could do a whole seminar on that one. You got an approach, you got a fair trade, and you got to close. In sales for real estate, you got to approach, you got a fair trade, and you got to close. Now we can expand that, obviously, as we're talking about today, just in one phase of it. But we got to get to the point where we go from attention and interest and desire to conviction. See, that's the key. Many people only thought sales was the AIDA approach, attention, interest, desire, action. Because closing is emotional. People buy an emotion and justify on logic. We have to, if you're serious about this, throw in the word conviction. How do I convince you that me and my services, me and my company, me and me are the best for you and you? And if I show them so much and they see everything, then they know, why would I want somebody else to help me buy a house, help me sell a house? As you analyze your agent on the other side of the negotiations, do you know more about them than they know about you? What was their list to sale price ratio the last 7 transactions? Are they good negotiators? Are they collective, collaborative, or competitive? Are they compliant negotiators? We have some compliant negotiators. Some agents, during all these multiple offers, became very compliant in many ways. Saw several examples as I was training around the country. So no is not N-O anymore. No is K-N-O-W. And so the K is for knowledge and the W is for winning. More knowledge, more winning means they know more. They're going to win with you. I like people saying, I win with Wayne. Our whole program through the Culhane Group is Win Inc. Winning is powerful, but you have to have knowledge to win. We see people in sports wondering what the wind is, archers. Some people have to practice to see how the green is going to turn or curve. Every sport has a lot of knowledge in the way they win. So winning is a part of knowledge. Knowledge is a part of winning. And that's how you overcome the N-O to become a K-N-O-W. Again, you did something either too fast, too quick, or totally left out. How many of you have left a counseling session with buyer or seller? Get into your cars. Oh my God, I forgot to tell them that. Oh my God, I forgot to say that. We do that. That's why things need to be written down. That's why visuals are powerful. Remember, names and faces are good. Voice and face inflection is good. Questions are good, but visuals are the best because a picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, I may use 1,000 words just showing you one picture because words are windows. Certain words are good words to pull things out of people. Feeling is a powerful word. I rarely try to use the word thinking. I don't care how people think. I want to know how they feel. The feeling brain is so much more powerful than the thinking brain. So when you want people to know, K-N-O-W, you got to appeal to their feelings. It's all you have to do. Well, it's not all you have to do, but it's a big part of what you have to do. So who here has ever felt they were perfect in a presentation? I hope nobody, because as I said earlier, it's good, better, best. Never let it rest until you can do as good as your better best. Now, is this a stressful business? Yeah, you probably saw this before. But I do know there's no reason to get stressed if you know how to handle objections before they become objections. If you don't handle objections that you know are going to happen as they're part of your presentation before they become anything, and sometimes just not even bother, they go away. But don't let people sidetrack you, because that's stressful. You got to start over, or you forgot what you said already. It's so easy to be distracted in this business by people because you want to answer that question right away. It's also too easy to be distracted when you're thinking what you're going to do next while they're trying to say something to you and you don't understand what they said. How many of you have had communication with someone who's not watching you? They're texting, they're looking down, they're looking out the window. They didn't hear what you said. Wow. Just realize that it is a stressful business, but handling objections before they become objections, knowing which ones will probably show up, make it a lot less stressful because there's no surprises. Surprises in real estate are tough. So one of the last things I like to do is to remind you of the 3 Ds of handling objections: determination, dialogue, and delivery. Are you finding the real reason why they don't feel they can make a decision? Or are you finding the real reason they're not making a decision? See, if you're solving for the stall, for the hesitation, you're not determined to win. That's not the issue. Don't get hung up on their stand. Go back to the SAM model. Accept it, acknowledge it, but don't buy into it. Then the words you say, the right words, the dialogue. And it's not a script. Take somebody's script, but make it yours. Be natural in your dialogues. Dialogues do not work if you sound phony. You say it your way, I say it my way. I have a phrase that's pretty long. It says, that which you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe in, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. Now, I believe it. I vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe in, and enthusiastically act upon, it must inevitably come to pass. Somebody else says, conceive it, believe it, achieve it. We said the same thing. Use the right words. Keep it short and simple. Conceive, believe, achieve. I want to make a point. I say it with the long way. But again, those are my words, not your words. Don't do mine. I don't want to do yours. Personalize your presentation. And above all, you got to be confident, competent, and natural. If you sound pushy, if you sound phony, your delivery is lousy. As you look at what's in the letters there, determination is dealing with difficult issues head on instead of packing up and leaving and getting nervous and walking away and you're stumped. Boy, if you're ever stumped in real estate, it stands out like a sore thumb. If you're hemming and hawing, if you ever have something you're not sure of, boy, above all, the nicest things you can say is, I don't know, but I'll find out. Let me get back to you tomorrow or tonight. And then find those right dialogues, those right scripts, those nice phrases, the things that some of your company has, some in seminars, maybe some of the words I say are. But then above all, you got to remember, you got to do the pizzazz. You got to deliver. You got to deliver. Delivery is everything. The right delivery. So they hear what you say. See, many times what you say is not what they heard, and what they heard is not what you meant. Listen to that. Sometimes what you say is not what they heard, and what they heard is not what you meant, which means you have to periodically verify. So let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer Seller. How do you feel about what I just said? So can you summarize how you feel about what I just said? Does that make sense? Some kind of affirming or reaffirming to make sure in their words, they say what you wanted them to hear when you said it in your words. That's a communication flaw. Johari Window, Joe Lufton, Harry Ingham talk a lot about that in communication. Many communications go past each other like ships in the night. They don't connect. Some people have lousy connection skills in communication. You cannot afford to have lousy communication skills. So we talked earlier about excuses, stalls, stands. This is one we all hear. You need to sleep on it? Well, I'm not selling you a mattress. We got to talk it over. What are you going to talk over? Is it? See, you've got to probe. What do they want to sleep on? What's going to happen tomorrow morning? We got to pray on it. Can we pray together right now? I don't know what or how you can handle these things, but these are stands. There's loads of these stands, people. Sleep on it. Got to think it over. Got to talk to my partner. Those are stalls and stands. As we said at the beginning of the day, you can't do anything with them. So maybe the best way to leave this is to remind you with the mattress that you cannot solve a stand. So if you're handling the mattress question, I got to sleep on it, you're wasting a lot of, oh, sure, no problem. I'll call you tomorrow. You're fine. With that said, I think we reached the point where we have accomplished all we need to accomplish. We're going to continue this next week. We'll summarize what we did, but we have a lot more to do in this process. So with that said, it's Monday. It's my day. Hopefully it's your day. Have a great week. It's the last week of August. A pleasure. Look at the rest of the day and the excellent speakers that are on later than me and the rest of the week, commenting with my partner, Michael LaFido, on Friday. Bye.
New voice messages and 13 saved messages. New message.
Hi, Wayne, this is Michelle. I'm calling you with a little update about my situation. I talked to Ann Richmond from the Housing Authority, who handles appeals. They have not gotten to my appeal as of yet. She said that I would continue to pay the same amount that I was scheduled. If you need to talk to her, her name is Ann Richmond.
Message saved. New message. Hey Dad, sorry I forgot to call you yesterday. I got busy with you. Message marked for deletion. Saved message.
Hi, my name is Denise. I was calling you first.
Hey, hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. Just finished my Facebook Live, and I've been kind of busy, but I do want to say something. That was so precious and sensitive, your note to me about the heavenly birthday wish. That was so nice. That's very, oh my God. I know you guys had such a nice connection, even though it wasn't maybe as often as possible, but I always treasure that. So thank you. And yeah, so I'm just finishing up here. We've got, I got some painters here painting my banister, and they tore out stuff in the back for me. So they're doing work, and then I'm going to relax. But I had to do that stuff today. It's hard to believe it's going to be the Labor Day weekend next week.
I know. I something to, I said something to someone today, like, are y'all going to play pickleball on Labor Day? And this one guy was like, you mean like at the end of the summer? And I said, well, yeah, but that's next weekend. He was like, oh my God.
I know, it's weird. It's really weird. Absolutely. So so I'm hoping everything gets done right for the unveiling. And again, I don't see any reason why you have to try to figure out a way to come. It's not that special for all the confusion it would take. So.
Well, it is. I just wish I could.
I know.
Think it's feasible, unfortunately.
Well, but I like your idea better. We can go there one time and make it more personal anyway. You know?
Yeah, and maybe there'd be a time that we can get Jacob.
Absolutely. That would be a wonderful way. That would be more meaningful to me, honestly. It really would.
Yeah.
It really would. And I think it'd be better for the whole package, you know?
Yeah.
So that's definitely a much better plan. So that's where that's at. But hopefully it's all going to come to fruition, because this Orthodox cemetery's got a lot of new rules and regulations. Like we're supposed to usually say a minyan of 10 people at each night for so many days. Well, they make, because they're very traditional, it's got to be all men.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know, unless some people from South Bend that don't even know Diane will be glad to show up, we don't have 10 men.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of people. I mean, I've got no brothers and sisters. If you came, you wouldn't count. Jake would count. Well, no, Jake wouldn't count. He's not Jewish. It's got to be 10 Jewish men. That's the tradition of a minyan. So, and they're very strict on that. So that's, like, Shelley's really upset. She's ready to say, forget it. You know, hey, that's the rules. Play the rules. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying in today's society, it's not right. In fact, I just saw the Pope's got a big meeting, and he's looking at relaxing a lot of things about gay marriages and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, they got all the cardinals there. First time in like 10 years or something, all the cardinals are in Rome, and they're looking at, you know, a lot of very open changes that I'm sure is going to have a lot of controversy about abortion and stuff. So, anyway, so you got a big week ahead?
Well, I'm driving back to right now.
Okay.
So I don't really have too much. I just have a couple like loose ends and deals. I'm probably going to come back and drive back up Thursday morning.
Good.
I'm mostly coming home for PT and for Pilates class.
Oh.
A little work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stopped my gym membership just because it was, you know, I was just having too many issues, relapses with my back and
That's smart.
So
That's smart.
I'm doing Pilates now, which is much less aggressive on my body.
Good.
So,
Good. Interesting enough, I went to a restaurant out in McHenry, Illinois. Up north is about a chain of lakes. Like you can get up by me and go all the way into Wisconsin on this chain of lakes. They all connect. Great houses. So went to a place called Buddy's. They're in Florida and Illinois, and they're right on the water. So people pull their boats up to go to breakfast. But they had, I should have took a picture. They had these mini waffles with different things on top. But they call it, you know, if you have shot, you know what shotski is, where you put the shot. They have a waffle key where they put like 4 or 5 different waffles on this ski thing, and you get this. Like you take a sample. They're little mini waffles, maybe the size of maybe 4 inches, 5 inches. Just mini. All kinds of different toppings, fruits. Not nearly as glamorous as that place where we went, but definitely the closest thing to it I've seen around here.
right.
Yeah. And then I went to the Bullet Train movie, which was out there.
Oh yeah, Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's movie. Yeah. Little gory and bloody, and because the English dialect, I had to listen carefully. Couldn't relax, but it wasn't bad. But nothing like the Top Gun movie at all. That's for sure. Nothing even close. So, and did a couple other things with some friends, and just worked out well. So, letting them paint today and finishing up the other stuff I got to do. Get my other house. They're doing the carpeting in the other apartments. The other houses to rent, so that should be able to move forward. And gonna relax. Just
good.
had the Chicago Agent book came out. with me in it, with that picture. And it's now gonna be,
Yeah.
so it'll be on Facebook now too. It's all live, so it'll be published a
Oh,
lot.
nice.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of benefits for all of us. But so play with that today, and I'm in good shape here. So with that said, I'll let you drive because I want to get some coffee. I'm dying of thirst for a whole hour. I'll catch up with you later today or sometime this week. Okay?
All right.
I love you,
Okay.
honey.
Yeah.
All right.
Love you, Dad.